This project uses our discharge base as the underprint, with Chino Plastisols on top.
This is a great technique for a shop that is a plastisol shop. They don't want to necessarily do an entire water-based printing. They're a little timid about water-based. This is just simply taking your standard artwork that you would create for plastisol print, swapping out your underbase for a discharge base. So the advantage of doing a discharge with a Chino base is you can use all the same colors you're using in your current shop and just adding one base. Swap out your underwhite for a discharge base, and that's going to work as your underprint with a much softer hand.
This ink system can be used across most brands of 100% cotton fabric that offer garments with good discharge capability. Always test your shirts prior to production to ensure they are dischargeable. Discharge is a chemical reaction that destroys the ability of a selected dye to reflect a color. The reaction takes place at temperatures above 180 degrees while water is present. The discharge system is PVC-free and non-phthalate, and we are adding non-phthalate plastisol over the discharge ink. This technique gives you a nice bright print finish, wet on wet, with no flashing, and saves a lot of time in production.
The mesh for the water base, we'll be using a 156. That's a good standard mesh across the board for water-based printing. It allows good penetration of the fabric without getting too much ink down or inks running through the screen. For the Chino colors, there you want to go up a little bit. I would go no lower than a 180 up to a 355 or a 305. Those work well for leaving enough ink down without too much so it'll give you a soft hand print.
This project uses a water-resistant emulsion for both the discharge inks and Chino colors, since the discharge base will be in contact with the backs of these screens. Curing water-based inks requires more dwell time in the dryer. 2 minutes at 320 degrees is ideal. A wash test 24 hours after curing is the best way to ensure you are properly curing the ink. We begin mixing the inks for our project by first finding our formula from the online color mixing calculator on the Rutland website. First, select your base code. Next, enter your PMS color code, color name, or color description. Press Go and select from your results. Next, select your display units from the drop-down menu. Enter the quantity that you want to mix, and then press the Calculate Mix button. Your mix will display for you to easily mix a perfect color. We're using our WBO255 for the underbase. This is a water-based product, so keep your lids sealed when not using. When mixing discharge inks, only use as much as you're going to need for about 6 hours of printing. We're mixing 600 grams for this project. We add 5% of our WBO258 lubricant to give the inks more open time. We're also adding 5% of our WBO257 penetrate to help the ink saturate the fabric and ensure proper discharge. Our WBO259 discharge agent is added last. This is a fine powder that mixes with the base and allows the ink to discharge. We recommend using 6 to 8% of the discharge agent for best results. We're using ESO250 Chino base and C3 color concentrate to mix our colors. This provides a very soft hand print while maintaining bright colors. Remember to use a clean or separate spatula to mix each ink. We have over 25,000 Pantone formulas on our online color mixing calculator, but any color can be custom mixed. With our online color mixing calculator, you can use any of our ink systems, follow the formulas, and stay consistent with the end color results. Next, test the color with the drawdown. Cure the print. Then check the PMS number. If you're satisfied with the colors, we're ready to move into production.
This is printing through a 156 mesh, 60-90-60 squeegee. You'll notice that on the flood, we're giving a very light flood. That's going to keep the ink skimmed over on the surface. This is going to help prevent drying while we print.
The discharge base will print clear on the garment, but when the discharge process happens in the dryer, the discharge base, with the addition of the 6% discharge agent, will remove the dye and revert the garment back to its natural color prior to drying. No flashing is needed on this project. All of our colors are printed wet on wet, as you would a white or natural t-shirt. We're looking for a 50% penetration of the fabric with our discharge base. The inks will be a very low viscosity when using our Chino base. By using a 256 mesh screen, these inks will provide a very soft hand with minimal ink deposit on top. We're using the 70-90-70 triple durometer squeegee for minimum ink deposit. The colors will look dull and muted until the discharge occurs in the dryer. Wet on wet forces every color down into the fabric for a very soft hand. Remember to spray the inks every few dozen pieces to keep the inks moist if you're printing in a dry climate with low humidity. If you're going to leave the screens for any period of time, you'll want to wipe down both sides of the screen and mist with water. Curing water-based inks requires more dwell time in the dryer. 2 minutes at 320 degrees is ideal. To recap our project, discharge works best using a 100% cotton fabric that has been dyed using dischargeable fiber reactive dyes. Always test your shirts prior to production to ensure they are dischargeable. The advantage of this technique is that you just swap out your white underbase for a discharge base to serve as your underprint with a much softer hand. We used a 156 mesh screen with a 60-90-60 durometer squeegee for the discharge base and a 255 screen mesh with a 70-90-70 durometer squeegee for the Plastisol colors. 2 minutes at 320 degrees in the dryer is ideal. This technique gives you a nice bright print finish, wet on wet printing with no flashing, and saves a lot of time in production.